I couldn't forgive my husband for our wedding and wedding night. And after 2 weeks our marriage ended. Me, 27 female, and my husband, 29 male, got married about 2 weeks ago. I have son 3.5-year-old that adores him, and he is like father to him. Everything started about 2 hours into our wedding party. My husband got mad at me for ignoring him while I had a short conversation with his best man making jokes. I ignored him only because I didn't hear him speaking to me from behind, and I told him that. He told me in that moment that he has nothing to say to me and he won't be talking to me anymore that day. After that I went outside and started cringe. I wanted to talk to him but he refused. People came up to me and asked what's wrong, and all I could say was that I don't know outside, that my husband doesn't want to talk to me on our wedding day. About 2 hours later he came up to me mad and told me to stop cringe and to go and entertain the guests. I could not bring myself to do that. I found a place where I could be alone and cried the whole night. I came up to him in one moment to ask him to leave with me for an hour so we can talk. We had a room upstairs. He refused, saying that he has responsibility to be with our guests. I asked, what if he loses me over this? I'm hurting and I need my husband. Talk to me. He responded that if I want I can leave the wedding ring on the drawer and this way he will know if it's over after the party. He came upstairs after 3 AM. I tried to touch him and hugged him with made him mad. He told me he came to need to sleep off and he doesn't want me to disturb him. I tried to hug him 2 more times, but he physically pushed me away. After that he go up and went downstairs to drink with his friends. What is important is that there was never anything romantic or sexual between me and his best man. He told me that I disrespected him in that moment by not listening to him, and that is a reason behind his words and actions. It's been 2 weeks, and it was the worst day of my life. I tried to talk to him about it, but he doesn't want to. He apologized by saying I'm sorry. Now can we end this conversation? Every time I cried he was angry and said that I don't have a reason to cry. Yesterday he told me that he doesn't have feelings of care for me or need to comfort me when I cry or to be with me when I'm hurt because I destroyed it with my constant need to talk about that night and our feelings. He got up and told me that he loves me and will protect me from anything bad in life. He hugged me while I melted in his arms. He kissed me on the forehead and looked me in the eyes with warm smile on his face I remember from 2 weeks ago. I felt safe. Then he took a step back and asked, like this? That's what you expected? While his face expression changed in an instant, my heart broke. How was I? I cried but in silence. I told him that it's his decision and I can stay his wife because of my son and financial reasons. I told him that I love him and that I will never trust him again and our marriage will be only about kids, work, and finances or we get a divorce. He told me that I described what a good marriage is for him and smiled. He went to bed right after while I went out on the balcony and cried. He was asleep when I came back. I know him for 10 years. He is the love of my life. I don't know what I did to make him like that. What can be wrong with me? I'm sorry for my bad English. I'm devastated and I don't know what to do. Please do not stay with this man. He does not love. He does not respect you. He is incapable of dealing with you in a reasonable, adult, mature manner. You deserve much better and the type of marriage you describe will be one of misery. You deserve so much more than this. Look into just getting your marriage annulled. Good news is that given how the wedding went, no one who cares for you will be surprised. Yeep. You could definitely get an annulment at this point. If you stay with him at this point it will hurt your son. He will turn on him too. Or the son will turn into one himself by watching how he treats his mother. Save your son by leaving. This is unfortunately super dependent on the state or country. My state doesn't allow annulments for almost anything except basically finding out you're related, you were already married, or can prove you couldn't legally consent to the marriage in some way. But regardless of if you can, this is worth pursuing a divorce over. Major life changes like marriage and pregnancy can be triggers for abuse specifically because abusers feel like you're less likely to leave right after. Prove him wrong however you have to go about it. Please leave this abusive man and this sham marriage behind. He tricked you into marrying him and now he thinks he has you trapped. Please don't subject yourself and your son to this cruel person who doesn't like or care about you, but only wants a servant to abuse. He has already begun to hurt you both, but you have the power and the ability to leave him behind. Do you need help and resources to get away safely? Good news is that given how the wedding went, no one who cares for you will be surprised. Trust me, a lot of people very close to victims of sociopaths can still be blind and shocked. Even angry with why would you destroy it all when you have a good thing going mentality. Sociopaths are very good at fooling people. Yup, they are usually quite charming. This guy definitely seems like a sociopath. At the very least, a narcissist. This is not good, girl. You need to take your baby and run. Get out of this marriage now, before it's too late, and you spend years and years hurting worse than you do now. It can only get worse. It can only get worse. Especially since he doesn't seem to want a healthy relationship. It sounds like you've been acquainted with him for 10 years opus. You've only just got to know him. To see the real him. Breaking up will not be a bad thing for you. I've got a feeling that, if you stay with him, you'll see a lot more of this aspect of his character. Good luck. This exactly. You knew him for 10 years, but he never let you see the real him, opus. I'm so sorry that he has deceived you like this. Please know that some people are capable of this kind of horrible deception and that nothing about these past 2 weeks is your fault. It's so scary to think that someone can put on an act and hide their personality for 10 years. I've only been with my boyfriend 2 years and I can't imagine his personality doing a 180 like that. As someone else said, maybe he chose to reveal himself when he knew he had opus. Or maybe there's more to the story. I feel like many times the signs and red flags are there, but the soul is blinded by love, or simply refuses to acknowledge the bad parts. I obviously don't know Op's case though. But this is definitely why I don't believe in marriage. Love blinds you, right? I completely understand you on the marriage thing and said the same things once. But with a lot of communication, trust can build to an amazing place and commitment can be possible. But it's never a done-and-did deal. It's a growing, living organism that takes nurturing and a lot of time and vulnerability by talking it through. It's not impossible, but it's an extremely difficult and beautiful journey. It's possible that there were a string of red flags that Op ignored or let slide in the past and this wedding issue is just another incident. We don't know the background story. A complete 180 is highly unlikely. I was with my first serious boyfriend for 5 years. For the first 3 he was wonderful, caring, sweet, romantic. We made each other laugh constantly. We were inseparable. I thought I knew him inside out. Then we moved in together. Almost overnight because extremely physically and emotionally abusive. I spent 2 years convincing myself I was doing something wrong and only left because he told me he was going to kill me in my sleep that night and I believed him. Walked straight out of that apartment barefoot in a thunderstorm at 3 AM and got in a taxi to my godmother's house because I was so scared for my life. It was a decade ago, and I have CPTSD and struggle with trust and vulnerability. I don't know why these things happen, but they happen. There is nothing wrong with you. Plenty wrong with him. I've been witness to such craziness. I agree with the above. Count yourself lucky. You would become an abused, controlled, mentally tortured shell of yourself to continue in a marriage to a man like this. This is the beginning of total control freakery. One way or another you would be parted from your friends and family. It would take time, but that wouldn't bother him. You would be isolated and then demeaned until you become a doormat with no self-esteem. You would become nothing more than his slave. Someone he can use and abuse at will. Unfortunately, that is the future for people married to a person with that profile. Forget love, romance, kindness and such. If you allow that with a freak like this, it will all be used to further reel you in and further control you. Appreciate your escape. Treasure it. Live your life. Treasure your independence. Only give yourself to someone who will nurture you, be proud of you, and let you be yourself. If you love somebody, set them free. Free to be yourself with them as a partner. Good luck and take care. I was just about to write the same thing. Looks like antisocial disorder. The coldness, that blank stare, the lack of empathy, the sadism, the sudden personality shift, the timing of it all, it seems to point in that direction. Many years ago I was in a relationship with a guy that was later diagnosed antisocial. He was extremely sadistic, manipulative, and abusive. These people can be very toxic and mostly incapable of real change. Please stay safe, get out and move on, as soon as possible. Yeah, I've seen this in a shorter relationship I've had with a sociopath. After several months in, when things were normal, the mask fell off. They straight up stared at me when I was upset and would try on facial expressions that they thought would work, if that makes sense. Like they'd look at me confused, try smiling reassuringly, then drop that, and look confused again. We had a lot of fights like this where the portrayed emotions shifted crazy fast. After the fact, when it fell apart, they said something about how they couldn't keep updating me because it was too hard/confusing, and I sort of think that's what they meant. It was a social interaction puzzle they couldn't figure out. Exactly right, he doesn't have to pretend. And only after she wasted 10 years of her life. This kind of thing seriously disturbs me. You never know who you might marry, that's why I would rather lay all my crazy out on the table, let the person decide for themselves. It's weird to think about a loved one so capable of concealing so much. Creeps me out. Sorry Op, I really hope you can heal and move on from this. This is my guess as well. You hit the nail on the head. This man sounds like a sociopath. If this is all a truthful account of events, then he is going to use you the rest of his life and you'll feel empty. He won't. Easy for me to say, but leave. Run opus. Protect yourself and kid from this man, because he is bad news. There's nothing wrong with you. Wanting to communicate your feelings is a perfectly normal and healthy response to being hurt. I'm sorry for your hardship. He sounds like a very cruel man. Sounds like he was testing how far he can push you, so he doesn't need to treat you with any respect. Now you're trapped as his wife. You need to get out of there. It's clear he isn't going to treat you right at all. I think Op still has a chance to annul the marriage. Let's just hope she does it for her own sake. Don't both parties have to give permission for an annulment? Or should I stop learning law from Friends episodes? This screams manipulation. Get out. You wrote about kids and finance. Find someone who can help you. A shelter will also take you in your situation. Get someone to help you, so you are not alone. There is nothing wrong with you. The only wrong thing here is that he is tricking you. He is not the love of your life. He can be dangerous, and you probably haven't seen the worst yet. Do not stay with him, for your own sake and your kid. Get out. He helped my parents financially. I could get a loan to help them and pay him off. We were looking to buy a house with a cheap mortgage loan. I work for a bank, and if we don't, he will lose 20% from a flat that he sold before the wedding. He sold it to pay his bank debt and loaned a portion of the money from my parents. I make more money and have place to live with my parents. I can handle finances well, and it's one of few qualities that he said he likes about me besides my looks. We essentially paid almost nothing for the wedding because of that. I planned every expenses. It's more about that after the word divorce he told me that I would break my son's heart and waste money because of it. And I know he is right that it will hurt my son. He sees as a father. I told him that I don't want my son to see this kind of marriage and think it's okay to be in relationship like that. He answered that I should stop crying and live normally with him. And that will be best for everyone. That man does not love you, I'm afraid. It might be hard to hear, but I think you've been tricked to marry a man that does not exist. It will not get better. He is manipulative, and I would even say dangerous. Your little boy might resent you, but it's not safe to live with this man. An unhappy marriage takes a toll on children. Better safe than sorry. I'll advise you to divorce and cut contact. He is dangerous. I would watch what life insurance policies he takes out. Sounds like a classic narc. He needs her now. But when he don't, it will be even worse than this. I would even add on to this that the kid could potentially resent her more if the husband starts to act this way towards the kid. Kid could grow up wondering why his mom let someone he considered his dad abuse him like that. And that's definitely something to be wary of. Thank you all. If story will have update, will post here. Do comment about the story. Like and subscribe for upcoming stories.